Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to talk about why you're not improving at Fortnite. Now, before you run off to the comments, yes, I know I've done a few of these videos in the past. The most recent was 7 months ago, but before that, I did one for pretty much every season. The reason I bring this up is because I know a lot of you guys have actually watched those other videos. You guys felt like you weren't getting better then, and you're not getting better now. Don't you worry. Rather than me giving only my own advice, which, like I just said, I've done a lot before, I've decided to base this around pro player advice. Basically what I did was I compiled all the advice I've gotten from pro players that I'm friends with. These are gods like Calc, Macwood, Face Destiny, even my trio carry Taken. All of them have insanely unique and great advice that I'm gonna share here today. So I hope you're all excited. I am still gonna share some of my own experiences just because I have improved a lot recently. Hopefully you guys have noticed. Without further ado though, let's get right on into it. To start off, let's talk about what I learned from BBG YoungCalculator. Whenever I ask Calc what separates him from lower tier pro players or even semi-pros, he always talks about their fighting abilities. In fact, you may have even seen him stress this on your own Twitter timeline. Have you ever seen these tweets before? These are what Calc put up after losing 1v1s in creative to players he believes he's better than.
But Jerian, if he lost the 1v1, how is he better than them?
That is the whole point of his statements, little Timmy. Calc could not believe a player who can roll him in a creative 1v1 simply cannot do the same in game. Or well, he can believe it, he just wants to point out how funny it is. Good one, little Calc. This sort of disconnect that players feel going from creative to real games is actually a lot more common than you would think. I literally made a video on the topic last month and it's already at over 700,000 views. Now, don't worry, I'm not gonna repeat the same exact thing then. Just go watch that video after this one. What I will do though is expand on it. As YoungCalc said in a reply to one of the tweets I showed before, creative warriors do not struggle for the reason you think they do. They actually struggle with the opposite. You see, most people, including myself, believe creative warriors are brainless idiots that run around endgames like chickens without their heads. They have the mechanics, the aim, the piece control, they just don't have the game sense to do well. Wrong. According to BBG YoungCalculator, creative warriors are actually bad at fighting. To me, this actually makes a lot of sense. So much of creative fights, aka zone wars, creative 1v1s, box fights, is centered around unrealistic scenarios. And I'm not even talking about stuff like using unlimited mats and pump shotguns. I'm specifically talking about the fights you get into versus another player. For example, in a 4v4 zone war wager, you're going to begin the engagement by trying to outcrank the other player on your level. Once you do that, you'll jump on them, try to piece them up, and hopefully, by the will of BBG above, win the 50-50 bloom battle. Guess what? That is not how real fights take place at the top level. It's just not. If you don't believe me, then ask yourself, why do the best creative players not do well in tournaments and real matches? Them knowing where to rotate, especially when they have an IGL in a team game mode, is not the reason they're losing fights versus less mechanical players like YoungCalc. The proof is in the pudding here, people. YoungCalculator can vouch. He is constantly duking on the top creative players in arena and tournaments. And before I move on, I just want to say, that does not mean someone like Faye Sway will not destroy Calc in Zone Wars. I'm also not even saying that Sway couldn't beat YoungCalc in real matches if he actually spent more time there. My point, just like Calc's, is that being good in creative does not mean you will always be good in real matches. Longer video on the topic down below. Moving on to the next piece of advice, this time for Macwood, it is to take accountability for your mistakes. Macwood coached my trio for the last FNCS week, and this was by far my biggest takeaway from our session together. Anytime I made a mistake, Macwood would point it out after the match and explain exactly why it was a bad decision. The interesting thing, however, is that Macwood would not tell me how to fix it. He basically left that part up to me. Gosh, do I love Macwood. Seriously though, when it comes to learning from your mistakes in Fortnite, the two hardest parts are identifying it and actually thinking about how to fix it. Macwood, as I just said, did the first part for me because he was watching my gameplay through Discord. He compared my gameplay to his own and thought about what he would have done in my situation. But what if I did not have Macwood? How would I realize all of my own mistakes? Well, there's a few different ways. First is acknowledging that you are not perfect. Way too often I see players, especially in team game modes, think that they are fault proof. They believe as long as they are not the first one dying or just making a really stupid mistake that they cannot do anything else. Wrong. wrong again. Half of my mistakes that Macwood pointed out were these tiny split-second decisions that I wouldn't even think twice about. Like, I remember one game I was on the low ground with Rise, my entire trio was there was probably only 10 other people in the game, and neither me nor Rise decided to block off the back of our tarp. We had looked around, we made sure no one was there. We basically thought, why waste any mats when no one's near us? We should be able to hear people dropping, right? About that. As soon as Rise and I turned our back to rotate, some maniac chunked us both from behind, and we both got really low. Let it be known we did not die to that guy. He was not the reason I died or even Rise died. We actually came in second that match, but had we not gotten shot there, had we not had to use all those other resources to get back to full HP, had we just built the dang wall, we most likely would have won the game as a trio. Sorry, Taken. So to kind of sum up the identifying your mistake part, you either need to have a coach watch your gameplay, or you need to go back yourself and VOD review. No matter how big or small the mistake is, go and write it down. It could be something as minuscule as not throwing your teammates cabbage. I definitely did not make that mistake. Really though, it does not matter. Write it down, keep it in the back of your head, and move on to the next step of fixing it. Like I just said before, Macwood did not help me fix my own mistakes. Thus, what I did was first think about all the different options I had in that scenario. Like in that other example, all I needed to do was build a wall. I obviously could have rotated earlier, gone up a layer since I did have mats. I even could have sat there and anticipated the 50-50. Those are just not the best play though. Notice how I said best, not the right play? A lot of the time, it's pretty much impossible to know what the right play is, since you really would never know how it's going to turn out. Therefore, I will say it once again, you need to VOD review and or have a coach, identify your mistakes, take accountability for them, and learn how to not make them again. You also need to go subscribe to Mac Daddy's YouTube channel. He has the best trio in North America. He helped me a ton during FNCS. Let him know itsJerian sent you. I love Macwood. Tip number 3 to keep improving, something I learned from my old trio teammate named Jaith, is to never get too comfortable. You guys have probably heard this piece of advice at least one time in your life already. You'll end up hindering your growth. It's pretty straightforward stuff. How this applies to Fortnite is with your trio, your duo, even your squad in a competitive setting. No joke, Jaith told me word for word, you do not want to be friends with your trio. That sounds really weird, right? Like, why would you not want to be friends with the people that you're constantly competing with? Are we supposed to like hate each other or something? We're supposed to always be fighting? No, not really. All Jaith means is that it is really easy to become comfortable with someone once you're friends with them. You'll start letting their mistakes go, and you'll actually have trouble trying to be serious when you need to be.
But Jerian, I find it easier to be harder on my friends. You're just mad you have no friends.
Jeez, little Timmy, that's harsh. No, but for real, maybe you do, little Timmy. Everyone's relationship with their friends is different. Let me ask you though, how many times have you tried to help your friend out and they either laughed it off or just were not serious the entire time? That is the issue with being friends with your Fortnite teammates. You need to be able to bring up everything that we talked about with Macwood, stuff like identifying your mistakes, talking about all the different options you had, the best play, or else you're just not gonna get better. Now, please, boys and girls, do not think this means you cannot be friends with your trio teammates. I don't want to see any of you guys going and dropping your teammates because itsJerian told you to. That is not what I said. That's not what Jaith means. Please, you can still be friends with your competitive duo or trio. Don't just not be friends with them. His main point, as well as mine, is to not let your friendship get in the way of your improvement and make it so you cannot point out their mistakes. Literally, the only way you're gonna get better is by learning your mistakes, which, as we just discussed, is not easy when you're too comfortable. You see what I'm talking about? Find a healthy middle ground. Fourth and final tip to help you guys get over your skill plateau is to stop making excuses. One of the biggest reasons I was not improving myself was that I was making way too many excuses up. I told myself I was too old to be a mechanical demon, I didn't have enough time to become one, I didn't have the genetics according to YoungCalc. That one hurt the most. I always told myself I could not do it. Then around the time of FNCS, I realized I was wrong. Those excuses I was telling myself were actually hurting me a lot more than helping. Of course, I cannot become a tier 1 pro player. I edit my own videos, I spend a ton of time making content, I simply do not have the time to get to that level. However, that does not mean I still can't become pretty darn good. I've seen a ton of pros that have worse mechanics than me, and that put in way less time than you would think. They just know how to properly utilize their time, and as a result, still remain at a high level. itsJerian will be up there soon though. And speaking of playing at a high level, that is what my duo Rise does on 60 ping. Rise, unlike me, who would use my own ping as an excuse if I played on high ping, I sort of do already for Rise, even though it's not my own ping. Rise does not let his ping affect him. Not only does he play like a 0 ping animal, but he's got some of the craziest mechanics you will ever see in your life. Hashtag we need central servers. By the way, yes, I know 60 ping is not that high for a lot of you guys. All my South African viewers wish they were on 60 ping right now. Shout out to all you high ping gods. You guys have earned my respect and will always have it. Just please do not let your ping hold you back. I'll be angry if you give up. Overall guys, those are the main reasons you are not improving at Fortnite. So if you enjoyed the video or you learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel somewhere down here, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to everyone on the screen for using code JERIAN. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. I said it in my last video, but I'll say it again. I've been uploading like crazy on itsJerian. That's my second channel with all my extra tournament highlights. Please go subscribe. Again, it is at itsJerian. Otherwise, that's it for me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.